I started thinking about the music that has been part of my life since I was really little, 2.5. And Natasha, my little girl, asked me one day, "What kind of music do you make, Mommy?" And I started to think about it. And I wondered if she were to play something in 20 years' time, did I have a compilation that could tell the story of this woman that was born in the 60s when feminism was coming alive, and when America then was at a crossroads, as we've just been. The viewpoint from a girl who was the daughter of a minister and played in bars outside of Washington, D.C. for congressmen and lobbyists, their rent boys, and their mistresses. And I thought, yeah, I need to put these tales together and weave this story. My fascination with stories from people sitting around campfires hundreds of years ago, talking about the news, what's really happening, not what those who are they want you to hear is happening. My grandfather would talk to me about, he was part Eastern Cherokee, how the stories were so important for the tribe and their culture. And that's how they would know the symbology of the Europeans coming in. That's how they would know what customs would work, what tricks would be played. And it was through the stories that everything I found, the information, was passed. Picking an order for this work has been something that I've sat with. A lot of this is based on sound, keys, frequency. Yes, narrative comes into play. This is not chronological. That is not a story. That's not the story I'm writing. Those pieces exist. We do have her as an infant. We do have her as a toddler playing. We have all that there. But what I felt was very important was that I have to work within sonic architecture. And I've always talked about this. You must serve that as a musician. And sometimes those elements that come in, it is like a puzzle. Certain things do not work because the rhythms pull from each other. And it does get discordant. So one song really isn't something you're experiencing. No different when you're walking in an exhibition and there are paintings next to each other. Well, if it's not laid out in a certain way, you can want to be running from that room and you don't experience the paintings at all. So I had to take into consideration everything from, keys, narrative, rhythm, and certain songs, some sit next to each other that you wouldn't think, but there is a reason. Well, it's a very difficult one to talk about favoring songs because they've been good to me over the years, many of them coming. And I've always felt that they were their own entities. Now that means they're not obviously like you or I or someone listening, but we go back to the idea of consciousness. A song is conscious thought. And yes, I'm interpreting it in my way, differently than the next person would interpret this thought. But I have to, in a sense, try and translate and be true to this form. So I don't see it as my child. I see it as consciousness that I'm trying to just express. So that's what I hold true to. And to play favorites is tricky, but I do find that Silent all these years comes up a lot for me. Angels is a song that I wrote this summer after touring America yet again and seeing where we are as a country at our crossroads. I've been moved by people's visions all over the world, touring in Europe, and seeing where, as Americans, we have to look at our own shadows. And Angels is really a song that talks about what's really going on. They're trapping angels by the Potomac. And maybe because I grew up there working, playing piano bar for those congressmen for all those years, I felt like there was something that I've seen, and there's something that has to be said at this time.